Are you ready to unlock the secret of living a life of strength, balance, and longevity? I'm Anita Terlizzi, and I have helped hundreds of men and women transform their lives by placing their health and wellness as a priority. I am a certified personal trainer, founder of Thrive55, and your host of the Made to Thrive podcast, where health experts from around the globe join us as we dive deep into topics that help us age gracefully and stronger than ever. This is where we take back our lives, friends. This is where we learn to embrace and celebrate this new normal we call middle age. I call this our second act. We have so much living to do, so let's not waste any more time. We weren't made to just survive these years of our lives. We were made to thrive. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Made to Thrive with your host, Anita Terlizzi. I'm super excited to have this day and this time with one of my dearest friends, Heather Gabbert. Hello. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I'm so excited to have you, Heather. Heather and I've known each other for a long time. And it's so funny when I think everyone should ask a friend to give you their bio because you don't even know how cool your friends are until you say, hey, why don't you just give me your bio, right? This woman, I mean, if I wasn't already impressed with her before, I cannot believe just how hard you have worked, how many, all these letters next to your name. I'm going to try to name them all out.
Okay.
So, Miss Heather Gabbert, coming to me live from Illinois. Heather is an MS, so that's a Master in Science, an RDN, a registered dietitian nutritionist.
Yes.
She is a certified dietitian in the state of Washington and a licensed dietitian in the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
She has many, many years of experience with work, and we'll touch on that today, I'm sure. And she is a fellow Saluki. That's how we met.
Go
so
Dogs.
That was Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Salukis.
Shout out.
So,
I love it.
So it's so cool, Heather, because I've just thought about, there's this pack of us that lived together the last couple of years of school, and we became so close and just evolved as the years have gone by. And it's so neat that we've all kind of fallen into this health and wellness place, all four of us.
Yeah.
I know. Maybe we'll get the whole crowd. We call them, 507 Hayes.
Praise, baby.
Praise girls. And we'll get a whole little college reunion one day. That'll be another podcast.
Got it.
Because they are both fascinating too, and just the coolest people I know.
Beautiful.
But you are very special to me and near and dear to my heart. And honestly, I say this with all sincerity that you are the kindest person I know.
Oh,
and I could just see it in your love for people and for your clients, and from everywhere you touch, you just want to love on people, and it oozes out of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes,
right back at you, sister.
So I'm going to pass it to you, but gosh, there's so much that I can pull out of your brain that it's probably going to take 3 or 4 more podcasts. So I really just wanted our audience to get to know you. Heather has agreed to be part of the Thrive55 team, which is
I can't wait.
Huge. Oh my gosh. So great. Okay. So she is going to be our go-to nutritionist. She is going to be giving us a lot of material, education, recipes, and you're going to find her on our website. We'll pull her on more vlogs, articles that come through, newsletters. You're going to see so much of her. So I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for agreeing to be part of it, because gosh, it's going to be so cool.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So tell me, I know that, when you started that journey in Carbondale, I knew you've always you had this itch for nutrition, and you never left it. And can you kind of walk me through, your journey of nutrition?
Absolutely. Well, I really have a funny story. It all started with a fellow shaker at SIU, and she
you might want to tell the crowd.
The Saluki Dance Squad. Yeah.
She was pretty darn good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But it was so fun. Her name was Heather also, and she came running into practice and she said, "Oh my gosh, you guys, I just aced my biochem." And I was like, "What? You did? Like, tell me about it." She said, "Oh, it's nutrition, Heather. I know you'd love it." And I said, "I think I would." It just sparked me. And so I took a nutrition class that next semester and I was hooked after like four different majors, right? After
Yeah.
almost failing out of econ and it's like, oh yeah, I found it, baby. So nutrition, as soon as I took that class, I was hooked. And there was nothing I didn't like about it. There was no class that I couldn't wait to get to. So
Mm.
I was super happy to find that. And then at the time, we did what was called an AP4 program, went into the master's program right there at SIU and got my master's degree and graduated in 95. And so from then on, it was just like, boom, got married, moved to Chicago, and then down to Atlanta, back to Chicago, and then out to Spokane, Washington. And that's where, lived for about 15 years out there. And it was just, I started in oncology at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, right up in Zion, Illinois, which is now called City of Hope. And it was just thank God. I call it God dots. I look back and I see how everything's connected now. And
Yes.
looking back at the time, I was like, I didn't really I wanted to be sports nutrition. In Spokane, I ended up being a sports nutritionist for the Spokane Shock Arena football team for 3 years. So that gave me a little taste
Cool.
of, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And
Hmm.
then I was the oncology dietitian there as well for Cancer Care Northwest, which was the largest oncology center in inland Eastern Washington. And we served,
Mm.
that region, and people from Idaho would come over, and it was close by, so only about 30 minutes. So it was just really a great experience, and I immersed myself in the community there, with the kids growing up there and going through the elementary school, the high school, and then graduating and still they just the PNW is in our blood. The Pacific Northwest is in our blood now. And so even though I moved
Awesome.
back to Illinois, yeah, help take care of mama, who she's doing great, and just help out my sister and give her a little
Mm.
break here and there.
It's interesting when you say, the God dots connecting to
Mhm.
where we're being led in life. We think we know what we're doing, and then, we turn a sharp corner. And one of your biggest sharp turns was getting cancer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It took me by
Yeah,
surprise.
right.
Yeah.
And so, just to think that you worked in a cancer hospital,
Yeah.
got it yourself. I can only imagine just how much you blessed those um,
Mm.
patients in there, because no one can really understand what they're going through.
Right. Right. And it really was an eye opener for me too, being on the patient side of things. So being a
Mm.
provider and a patient um, is wild. And I want to write a book. I called I'm sick of it because yeah, because it's the point of view of both the provider and the patient. And I really was like, from then on, I just really wanted the patient experience to be as loving and welcoming and calming as it could possibly be. Though my scope of practice was nutrition and food choices and things, it really, I could then recommend them see a counselor on the team, or, you know, um, get some social resources and things like that. So yeah, it was really, yeah. And then I developed things that they hadn't seen before. They were like, well, they had seen it before, but they were like, well, wait, I mean, they see me every day, but no one noticed my arm was swollen. And
Mm.
so I ended up with lymphedema and I was like, why is my bracelet embedded in my arm? They're like, you have lymphedema, you need sleeves. Oh my gosh. And I was getting ready to fly home. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah. So I was like, so I had my double mastectomy in January
Mm.
of 2017. And then by May, I was full on lymphedema syndrome. And
Mm.
yeah. And
Did
so
you have to
that
take off of work for that?
I they blessed me so much because I went part-time. and
Mm,
they were okay with that. And I would
mm-hmm.
literally clock out and go take a 1 or 2 hour nap in my car because I just couldn't make it through a full day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you
So,
think that was where you got this passion to tell people that about how we don't have to sit back and be sick,
right,
that we don't have to rely on doctors to make us
right,
better, that
right.
we have at our fingertips, we have the resources that I just think people aren't educated on.
Absolutely.
I think about even during COVID when we were
Mhm.
all in isolation,
Isolation.
and you didn't hear, you're disappointed that you
Yeah.
didn't hear the news or the conversation. Hey, you're home, but why don't you cook with your kids? Why don't you learn
Right.
a new recipe? Let's
Right.
build our immune system. That conversation was never had.
Right.
And it was a
Right.
joke about overeating, and it was a joke about over drinking alcohol. And
Right.
we got ourselves in a lot of trouble within our own health, even aside
Right.
from COVID,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
so just I've heard you say that, food is medicine.
Right.
And we either have foods that hurt us or we can have food that heal us.
Yeah. Right.
So after the cancer, is that really where you just got
Mhm.
passionate about sharing that kind of information?
Yeah, literally, I think I was just trying to get to grips or come to grips with all the body changes that happened.
Mm,
So, uh, I dealt with that, and then being in chronic pain with the lymphedema and my shoulders and my joints, and I mean, I just hurt all over. And I thought, my gosh, what is going on? And I kept watching Darren O'Lean with the 121 tribe. And of course, like as a provider, you know, right? But you need
right.
that little spark. And just like watching your things, like I would be like, oh, and even doing like your arm, hand movements and stuff. I'm like, I love that. And that's super huge for like post mastectomy patients, and because you can't move your
Mm,
arms for 6 to 8 weeks, and stuff
mm,
like that. So
yeah,
yeah, and so Darren and the 121 tribe really help me just transform and cultivate a life that supported living and
right.
not just being alive. And I
Love that.
think, yeah. And I think that, by day nine, so we submitted videos. It was like, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, let's do this. And I was selected out of thousands of applicants globally to be part of this 25-person wellness camp online.
Wow.
And it was all this digital package, much like what you're doing with Thrive 55. So
Yeah.
it was just a deep dive into veganism. And then by day nine, I was like, or day six, I was like, I never want to not feel this good again. And so I stuck with the veganism. And anytime I get drip, like when everyone's around and family, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll have a little bit of all natural organic cheese, or, like, and then I feel it. I feel it.
Right.
And
Regret,
you
regret.
regret. Yeah, I'm like, oh, so, but that's all part of the human experience, right?
It is. That's
And
great.
yeah, and I think that too helps me relate to people, like in talking and doing virtual consultations. I love this. Like, I see you in your home setting. You
Right.
see me. And so when I consult with someone online, I love to go into their kitchen or go into my kitchen, and we're, showing brand names or showing like, this is what I have. Let's be real. Yep, I've got this, or yeah, like
Yes. I love it.
it's not perfect. And none
Right.
of us are perfect. And so to walk in that imperfection as just a full surrender to God, really, and just say, okay, I want my words to be your words, my actions to be your actions. How can I help this person the most? It's
Mm,
not about me, it's about them. And just what
right.
you're doing is so beautiful. And I love how too, um, along the way, I've noticed like when I sent you the bio and when things just kept coming up, I've always said thrive. Like I wasn't just a survivor, I was a thriver. And that was kind of
Yeah.
the thing for a
Yeah.
lot
I
of people.
thought the same thing.
And I thought, wow, everywhere I turn, it was like, and thrive, and thrive. living and thriving
Right.
with cancer. Like,
Right. Right.
what, I mean, I have these books, but, you know, it's just so interesting to me. Um, oh, this one doesn't say it, but anyway, these were the series. And
Yeah.
it was just like living and thriving with cancer. So I just love it. And I love what you're doing and how, again, the God dots and we're all connected.
Yeah.
And really, he planted these foods for us. And so,
Right.
you know, it's like, you know, even if you don't want to be full on vegan, right? At least just embrace, you know, trying something new, because maybe what you're doing isn't working for you. So what's the harm, right?
Right.
Do you
Right.
really, what's the harm in maybe trying some plants, the color of the rainbow every day,
That's right.
seeing where you are, and then at for the very least, you're going to have more fiber, which feeds your microbiome. Your microbiome is your immune hub. It's your engine. It's our core. It communicates with our brain for mental health. I mean, I just get so excited because the
So good.
fiber fuels it. And then what's the very least that can happen is that you feel a little better. And then you're like,
Right. Who
"Hmm,
doesn't want to
hmm."
feel better?
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and then incorporating it with the my Thrive, it's like the body movement's so important to move nourishment through your joints and through every tissue.
Mm,
And think about this, everything that's sedentary in nature dies. So, you
right.
know, yeah. So it's like, wow, you know, that let's learn from Mother Earth and what God has planted for us, what He's showing us.
Yeah.
And
I love that you
and
just said Mother Earth because it's Earth Day
I know, happy Earth
today.
Day. I love it.
No, that's awesome. So I twice a year I teach a health and wellness class.
Okay,
Don't claim to be a nutritionist, more of a
you're right.
fitness coach.
Yep.
And just by passion, I just
Mm,
know how to help people feel better, right?
absolutely.
And so
Yes,
they're like,
God
"Give me
given,
lose
baby.
weight, give me lose weight." That's the first goal always, right?
Always.
But at the end of those 7 weeks, they care less about the side effect or benefit of weight loss, and they're so surprised at how they're sleeping well, how they have more energy, that they have mental alertness and
Clarity.
clarity, that they're not bloating. Some of
Right?
people have like their sinuses, all their sinuses are gone, all that pressure. Um, my mother used to call it chicken skin, that rough skin. It goes
Yeah.
away. Like they
Yeah.
just I'm not kidding. Some people have
Yeah.
gotten off of their medications.
Oh,
I'm not
100%.
recommending that everybody just go
No,
with what your doctor says.
not to,
Um,
right. Treat or kill.
but they and they have gotten rid of their adult migraines that they've had since
Yeah.
they were 18 years old, just by simple things like going organic coffee, since it's the most highly
Right.
processed sprayed food in the planet.
Amen.
Just these little things, right?
Yeah.
And you're right, it can be super overwhelming when we get to the food section,
Right.
and you kind of give them the bad news about what the FDA approved.
Right.
Bad news. Just a different story in the US than it is if you're in Europe, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Like my
From the
my
growing.
um
Yeah.
my international kids, because we've had
Oh, yeah.
4 international students that lived with us for a year, every
Wow.
other year, right?
Yeah.
We took one on. And they're like daughters to us. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And but I would always ask, what are you most excited about going
Right.
back home? And they're like, oh, the food. I can't wait to eat healthy. I'm like, what do you
Oh.
mean? Like, here I am, a trainer, a nutrition coach. Like, you haven't been eating healthy in my house? They're like, oh, no, 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 it's not your fault.
It's
Your
everywhere.
strawberries don't taste like our strawberries.
Right.
Your vegetables don't taste like your lettuce doesn't taste like our lettuce. Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And so, and I really understood the difference when I went
Yeah.
and traveled and visited there. And that's a whole
Yes.
nother podcast about,
Whole other.
food, but
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming. And I always tell my
Yeah.
clients, we don't have to be an expert on food, right?
Right.
There's just
Right.
little tips that we learn along the way, that you
Step
realize when you look at a label and there's 10,000 ingredients listed,
ingredient.
may not be the best choice,
You're right.
right? Like the smaller the list, the better.
Right.
Shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, you're more
Yes.
likely to get some healthy things.
Right. Right. Go
Adding
Whole
color.
Foods.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all Whole Foods,
Yeah.
that whole farm to fork
Right.
concept is
Yes.
fantastic. And so tell me
Yeah.
what you think about this. I always
Okay.
say there are 4 things that they say, well, just tell me, tell me, tell me. I want to know how to lose weight. And that's really not why the class began.
Right.
But I will tell you because you're going to hound me until I do. So I give them 4 things and I say, you can say, I'm out, I'm not doing that. Or you can
Yeah.
say, okay, I'll do 1 or okay, I'll do 2 and I'll add the
Mhm.
others later. But
Okay.
what I say is, listen, you got 7 weeks with me during this program, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got everything to gain, nothing to lose, right?
Right.
You're all
Right.
here because you're sick and tired of
Except
being
wait.
sick and tired,
Exactly. Sick of it.
right?
Yep.
And it's funny when I was asked to teach the class, I kind of went through this book and I'm like, well, it's kind of the duh, like, yeah, eat better and move,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
we all know that.
I
We
know.
all know we need to eat better and move.
Yep.
And then I have a room full of people every semester, 60 to 80 people every
Wow.
single time.
Wow.
And to me, that was eye-opening because what is it that keeps us from the success, right? It's so much more than food and exercise. I mean, those are 2 components, but why do we fall? Why do we get triggered? Why do we have this
Sabotage.
great day, sabotage at the end of the day? And you're like, well, screw it. I might as well eat the whole cake
Yep.
instead of just giving you grace, giving yourself grace and love and saying, okay,
Right.
I tried the piece of cake, I can put it away. Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Will.
and so what you had, the chewy gooey pizza and your
Yeah.
soda at your kid's birthday party, you're probably gonna hate it tomorrow. But you pick yourself up by the bootstraps
Right.
and you do it again. Because this is a
Yeah.
marathon. This is not a sprint,
Right.
you know?
Right. Right. Right.
So okay, so the 4
And
things, because I'm sure everyone's like, what the
yes.
heck were the 4
Yes.
things?
Yeah.
Okay,
You'll go back.
you tell me what you think.
Okay.
I say, if you can, ditch processed food.
Yes.
Anything in a package, in a bag, right? Because we want to stay as
Yes.
whole as possible. I know life is hard and people work and, if you find your frozen vegetables in a bag, of course,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes I get my clean protein out of a jar. So obviously
Right. Powder.
powder. Um, the other is to try to ditch dairy, even
Okay.
if you're not lactose intolerant. It is an eye opener for my clients. I was never lactose intolerant. I always go on it with my clients because I want to experience what they're experiencing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And I will tell you that my bloating went away.
Right.
And
Right.
right. So it's an inflammatory. I
Yes.
believe we're not supposed to be drinking another mammal's milk from what I was told. And okay, so you have no processed, no dairy. We quit gluten,
Right.
um, and no sugar,
Yeah.
except for fruit. We do fruit.
Okay.
And um, it's 4 things, and a lot of them have a tough time with that,
Yep.
especially because they love their creamer and their coffee, and the Italians, man, they love their cheese. Like,
Yes.
don't you be taking my cheese away. So what do you think about those 4 suggestions?
I think they're great. Like honestly, they're great like a framework, right? And
Yeah,
so that's what you're hitting on, like the Rainbow Reset coming up is building a framework because that's what you're doing by providing these ideas. You're giving them 4 things, right? 4x4 to build their frame and then always go back to that. If anything,
yeah,
if you veer off, wait, what were the 4 things? Oh, and so it's
yeah,
a home base. It's a
yeah.
foundation, right? And so I think that to have that, you have a pretty solid, framework and that those are great. Those are great first steps.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. And I love
Yeah.
that you mentioned Rainbow Reset. I know we won't
Yeah.
get into
No.
a lot of detail today, but
Right.
you're writing a book.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's
And you
almost
want to give
done.
like a little push on it?
Little tease, yeah. So,
Little tease.
so God totally just showed me that the rainbow promise, right? Everything is going to be all right.
Mm,
And when the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Bipp, I say, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purples. And blue and purple are in the same color hue as far as the foods are concerned and the phytochemicals involved. And um, just making sure that you have that every day and building that framework of like, well, wait a minute, I've got recipes, I've got the menus, building the framework of routines in the morning, incorporating movement, Thrive55, and those fundamentals basically. And that's what you were discussing with your top four. Like you got to have the fundamentals. And just
yeah.
like in the word, for example, right? Whenever you're going through a battle or a struggle, we don't know what to do in our humanness. Go to the word. Like
Mhm.
that's been the biggest thing I've learned. And in the last 3 years, I've just been doing that since 2020. So it's
Amazing.
like, yeah. And so knowing like, oh, like it's a epiphany every time.
Right,
And
isn't that funny?
and that's what you can do with resetting your food framework with the rainbow
Right.
and having a community like in Thrive 55, like that's
Mhm.
in the blue zones basically is what it's based on. And the blue
Right.
zones are there's 5 across the world. Dan Buettner explored and for 20 years worked on these. And it's like, Sardinia, Italy, Nicoya, Costa Rica, uh, Okinawa, Japan, Ikaria, Greece, and then Loma Linda, California. We have one in the United States.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the thing is, they follow Seventh Day Adventist approach. It is biblical. And
Mhm.
they don't have grocery stores like I'm sure your exchange students were like, oh my gosh, what is this? They're used to markets
Yeah, they've
with
never seen
fresh,
anything. The abundance was out of control for
right,
them. They just couldn't
right.
believe it.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what's so hard because in all of these foods that are provided to us, these fast foods, these convenience foods, these box foods, they oftentimes have, we're finding out, like I know you follow the Food Babe too, is that, man, I, it was really hard as a clinical or as a dietitian to be like, man, there's really things being added that can harm us and that addict us to the food. There's dextrose, which releases dopamine, and think of dopamine starting with do it again, do it again. It's like a drug hit.
Mm.
And that's what that people are like, no, I totally get you. I totally get it. I mean, I grew up on Suzy Q's for God's sake, and rectangular pizza squares or rectangular pizza.
Oh,
I'm sorry, my cat is all over me.
so cute.
So
Keeping it real. I love it.
I'm like,
Wrestling this
so yeah,
cat.
I'm like, geez. But no, I love her. So, I just think it's so fascinating the human experience that we have. We get this
Hmm.
one body, this one life, and we tend to think of just the moment. We don't think of, wow, wait a minute. Now, wait, when I ate that, I felt like crap. So, well, I'll just do it again. It's totally worth it. I do it too.
Right.
I do it too.
Right.
So I'm like,
Right.
well, if I'm in a movie and everyone's having popcorn or whatever, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I want to have Diet Coke. Yeah. So that's why I love Pastor Furtick. He's like, I'm not getting off my Diet Coke. So I'm like, okay.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
I've given up everything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
So,
There is a coffee creamer that I used to love. And I used to say that, like, I've given up everything. Like,
yeah.
let me have this one thing, right? But
Yeah.
you read it and it literally says carcinogen
Yeah.
on the label. It's a
Oh,
cancer former, it's a cancer starter, right? It's like cancer kindle.
trigger. Yeah. Yeah. Cancer kindling.
And I'm
Oh
like,
boy.
in my prideness
Yep.
of
It's pride.
I'm gonna keep my
Yeah.
creamer. You're not the boss of me, kind of thing.
Right.
But in that will be the one thing that kills me.
Right.
Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? And guess what? Like, you can change
Yeah.
your palate. In fact, they say
Yes,
you
you
can change
can.
your palate in 48 hours, I heard. So
Oh,
you can
wow.
change your brain. And
Yes.
so you can
Oh,
start to realize, and the
yeah.
mind is can start getting so much healthier too. I mean,
Right.
I'm 53. Are you 53? Are
I
we the same
am.
age? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We're
And
fortunate.
we don't so it's interesting when you hear people kind of think of this as like we're sliding downhill or something, right? It's
Right.
like we're like this is like our
No.
second act, man. Like
It,
let's go in feeling good and strong
right.
and healthy. Like
Right.
this is the half where we're not that younger side where we like cared what people thought,
Uh-huh.
we were worried about, like we go to the grocery store. We're not cleaned up
Totally.
like this when we go to the grocery store, right?
Right. I know. I never wear my
Heather
hair
and I
down.
have
I'm not
Heather and
used
I
to this.
haven't seen each other showered in makeup in I don't know,
Out years.
years.
I'm like, what? Oh
Wait,
man.
what?
I know.
Podcast?
I keep pulling my hair back. I'm like, I am not used to this at all. Oh, I
That's
usually have
so
it done.
funny.
But yeah, so
Oh,
you mentioned you touched on something that I had thought of when you were talking about what people, going back to things and the four things that you had mentioned,
yeah.
is that you definitely change your palate. And now
Yes.
it was so cute for my kids to be like, "Wow, mom, you crave vegetables now." I mean, I was like, "I do. I crave plants now." I'm like, "Yeah." Like I just and
Yeah.
I
Your
just
body
I
wants it.
it does. And it's just so satisfying because you feel so good. And
Yeah.
so you remember, yeah, yeah.
So
It
part of your business also is meal prep planning delivery, correct?
yes, yes. So
And
it's
tell me
yeah,
a little bit about how that started because that was really
okay.
cool.
It's been so fun. It's been just kind of forming over the years. My boyfriend at the time, Dane Jessen, worked in a business incubator. And so he actually started me out as Street Cred Nutrition, and it was STREAT.
I
And
remember.
we did meal prep and delivery, but it quickly turned into, as recommended by another girlfriend, a girlfriend of mine, one of my biggest supporters in all my entrepreneurial endeavors. Her name's Francie. And she, said, "Gosh, you should serve your food. I love your food. You should serve it at the medical offices when the pharmaceutical reps come and do their talks." And so I did that. And I really thought here in Illinois, I was going to do that same thing, but no, all of a sudden, God's like, sprinkle, sprinkle, and
Yep.
brought me a really cool human here in our community named Steve. And he actually is like, "Would you do meal prep?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I used to. Of course, let's do it." And so from then it was born here
Fun.
locally. And so I have like, I call them custom creations because they're mindfully crafted, because I focus on if you have food allergies, everything's gluten free.
Mm,
Matt, my son, has celiac disease, and Anna and I have been allergic to wheat for some time now. So my kitchen is gluten free, and then when I go to the commercial kitchen, I take my own pots and pans and things, and all my
wow.
utensils, everything. So yeah, so it's really been a lot of fun. It turns out that, and then I substitute teach. So one of the principals is a friend of mine from high school, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're doing meals? Oh, I want some meals." And so then now her and she got her daughter doing them, and then it snowballed with the other person, and getting other people getting going on it. And it's really for hypertension, it's for heart health, it's leveled up. And so I wanted it to be all vegan, but I wasn't going to have very many customers here in middle America. So
We like our meat, Heather.
I know, I'm like, "Oh, okay." But I do leveled up. So wild caught salmon I'll do, and then just incorporating the anti-inflammatory benefits from spices, and not using salt. And it's really been, I just love it. They're like, "Do you have this? Do you have this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." And so it's just really a lot of fun.
I love it. Okay, so with all that being said, Heather, thank you so much for
Oh,
just
thank you
spending
so much,
time
Deb.
with us.
Yes.
My audience, I know, will have so many questions and want to know more about you. So where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at heathergabbertrdn.com. And I will be rebranding, but for now, that is the best way to find me. You can email me at connect@heathergabbertrdn.com. And then I'm on social media. On Instagram, I'm at Gab Live to Be Well. And I'm also at Earth Angel Food & Co. on Instagram. And then Facebook is Heather Gabbert, Earth Angel Food.
You were as blessed as I was to share time with Heather. Please like and subscribe. You could download it, share it with a friend. Someone will be as blessed as I was today. So I love you, Heather.
Love you.
I will see you
Love
soon.
you,
Thanks.
Judy.
Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to the Made to Thrive podcast, a Thrive55 Plus production. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review as it really helps support us.